Now, here's a little-known fact as we transition to the next stage real quick, but little-known fact about Jeff Agus is that you were part of the silver medal team at Hong Kong for the 1992 Futsal World Cup Championships. You actually beat Argentina there 6-3. You tied Brazil 2-2, and then you end up losing to Brazil in the final 4-1, but you guys finished above Spain, Holland, Argentina, and Italy. So I just wanted to bring that out because that's probably a little-known fact people didn't know about you.
I appreciate you bringing that up. When I say I've played the sport at all levels internationally, that's certainly one of them. There haven't been a lot of players, I think, who have had that experience, but it was great. I mean, that was obviously our. I think if you count that internationally, it's our first World Cup final ever for a U.S. team, a men's team. That was back in the day. I think this was in '92 when we had just incredible players. Chico Borja was on the team.
Yep.
And it was really made up of mostly indoor players. And what was going on was a lot of the teams were learning how the game was played from us. They would watch, for example, we made substitutions on the fly, whereas most teams didn't. And so we brought a different structure and a different way of playing to the games, and I think that made it unique. So I really enjoyed that experience, and I look back on it with really fond memories.
Yeah, I mean, and there is a little bit of difference, as Brett can tell you, between indoor and futsal.
Yes.
And you guys still managed to, be not only competitive, but go all the way to the finals against countries that have been playing that form of football for quite a long time. So it is actually, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is a completely different game from indoor. I mean, they play that when they're young in Brazil. They grow up playing that in the academies, and I think that's a big reason why they develop the players they do with this type of skill. I think it's something we need to bring to the United States with some of our younger players who are 8 to 14. I think just touching the ball, being around the ball, being able to control, dribble, pass the ball in those tight spaces can only make players better.
Absolutely. I gotta say, I've been playing futsal for the past 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden the league that I've been playing in has changed it to indoor. And, oh my God, I can't stand the walls anymore. I really can't. It's killing me. It really is. And I'm glad they haven't changed the youth system, because the complex that we play at, the youth system is still futsal, but the adults are indoor now. So it's a huge increase in ability from playing futsal for the kids has been amazing. Their development has grown. It's amazing how big of a difference taking away the walls actually makes. But
yeah, indoor sort of rewards you for bad passes. That's the biggest difference.
Absolutely. Now we talked a lot about the young guns on the Red Bulls. We talked about Agudelo and Ream, but you know what? What other players in MLS or abroad right now? I mean, obviously Holden's a kid that stands out, and he's not really a kid anymore. But who are some of the guys that are really impressing you overseas right now?
Well, Maurice Adu is having a great run right now. Scored a great goal, I think, this past weekend with Rangers. Yep. Clint Dempsey every week. You talk about him being a mainstay at Fulham. Ricardo Clark, I think it will certainly get his chance, and he was working his way into the Frankfurt lineup until the injury with his cheekbone. Yeah. So you're seeing this emergence of players, of American players in Europe. Now the next step is to really develop these players into the upper echelons of the clubs, the Chelseas, the AC Milans, the top clubs. That's where I think if you want to look at us as a country, you have to measure us not on. I think it's wrong to measure us on how we do at a World Cup, because it's a 3 or 4 week window versus or maybe a better way to measure us is how many players are we producing for top sides, top worldwide sides. I think that's really where we want to see the measure of. If you look at the Dutch team, I mean, every player in that team is playing at a top team. It's Inter Milans and Chelsea's and Arsenal's. It's just amazing how many players that a small nation like that can develop. So I think that's should be our measuring stick as we sort of move the development of the player forward.
Yeah,
a correct development system for the youth makes a huge difference when you look at a country like Holland, who has a smaller population than the U.S., but the fact that they're developing these players shows that they have the correct youth system in place.
Well, the biggest issue, I mean, there's advantages of having a small country too that we shouldn't forget versus a big country. But I think what the Dutch philosophy is really about player development rather than results. And at the youth level, we've just been, just so focused on results rather than development. I think that's the biggest difference. And we have a college system here which is completely unique around the rest of the world where that doesn't come into play. So we have a lot of challenges, but I think also we have to look at the coaches as well, because we're going to develop good players if we have good coaches. The best players for example, in the Ajax team are coaching the youth, the youngest players, the U10s, the U12s, and we need to get our best coaches coaching at the youth levels and make sure that the players are learning their fundamentals from 8, 9, 10 years old, because if you try to teach a kid anything tactically when he gets older, if he can't do it technically, then it's just a waste of time. So we've really got to drive the technical part of it home for our youth and youth development.
Boy, yeah, that kind of echoes what John said as well. John O'Brien said when he was on here. But, I got a little bit of beef because today, or it was yesterday, of course, Andy Carroll from Newcastle signed with Liverpool. He scored 11 goals this season. Clint Dempsey has scored 8 goals for Fulham this season, playing half of the time at midfield. And, it kind of gives you that, there's that chance. I mean, it would have been nice to see Dempsey move there. But on the positive note, however, let's look at the center midfield position for the United States, because it's out of control. You have Holden playing at Bolton and doing very well. Spector seems to be coming in as a regular for West Ham now at center midfield. I don't want to jump the gun on that, but he's done very well. Michael Bradley just moved to Aston Villa, and he has, of course, to compete with Petrov and Rio Coker and May Kuhn and a lot of other guys. But still, Maurice Adu, as you mentioned, is at Rangers doing well. Jermaine Jones is at Blackburn, and they just started him at center midfield after starting him at left back first, but now they've moved him up to center midfield. I mean, we have a big movement going on here, an ascension, if you will, at center midfield as far as Americans are going. What's going on here? I mean, how come that's happening?
It's a great question. That's obviously the strength of our team is that area of the field. But we also you can't just live on that one position. You have to be balanced throughout the team. Obviously, I think in Timmy Howard we have a great goalkeeper. So that's also a positive. Our forward line is still to be discussed. I think. Josie's still got some time to put in. Juan obviously coming up now. Kill Bundar, some of the young kids coming up are going to be interesting. But the one thing outside of maybe a Clint Dempsey is we still don't have a true number 10. A guy, for example, a guy like Tab Ramos. I mean, we don't have a real creative midfielder who can just do things that other players can, and that really makes it difficult for for the back four or the defense is to cheat a little bit when they know that they're not going to be beaten by a ball. They can press up a little bit higher, and so we really have to look to develop a true number 10, a true creative midfielder who has that ability. I think Clint can do that at times, but it's I think he's more a box-to-box guy than probably a number 10.
Right.
But that is the last, or that is one of the positions I think we could use some improvement. And then we look at the back line, which really now is aging for us, and hopefully guys like Tim Ream, Omar Gonzalez in the back are going to be able to be the next line of guys who come in that position.